and some of those rescues in the more remote parts, relying on defence to get that done. So that is a welcome thing. I guess, as you say, the recovery welcome for a number of reasons, not the least of which that the tourism sector, which is the backbone of that beautiful part of our country, had copped it so badly during the COVID years and now got to try and grapple with this. Let's hope that they can get back on their feet ASAP, Keith.
Oh, that's exactly right. It's what drives a lot of jobs in the regions. And, you know, media reporting has got to be fair and balanced, Kieran, as well. We don't want to send a message that, you know, the whole place is destroyed, which it won't be. There'll be some challenging periods and there'll be a lot of things to repair. But the north is quite resilient. This happens relatively regularly. And I know they know how to do the recovery, they know how to do it quickly, and they know how to get back on their feet as fast as possible. And, you know, my thoughts and prayers are with each and every one of them.
Yeah, exactly. And as soon as someone has a chance to get a holiday up there, you know, the message should be to Australians, think North Queensland as opposed to maybe heading overseas next winter when we turn our attention to that. Now, I spoke to the former chief executive of the Australian ANSTO, the Nuclear and Science Technology Organisation, A.D. Patterson. He's calling for Australia to lift the ban on nuclear. He agrees with you on that. He's saying within 10 to 12 years we could have a plant up and running and into our system. Do you believe that that time frame's possible? And what do you say to the argument from Chris Bowen and the government that it's just too costly?
Well, the first point is we're doing it anyway. We're getting Virginia-class nuclear submarines. You must have a nuclear industry if you're going to firstly build subs, operate subs, maintain subs, and decommission them at the end of their operational life when they have a nuclear reactor on board and they have radioactive waste to deal with. So we're doing all of those steps. If you look at what's happening overseas, they're building a unit in about 7 years if they're side by side. We can see in the UAE, for example, over 5,000 megawatts. They're using the South Korean design, which has just been certified in the US relatively recently. South Korea's got 4 as well. And if you look at the footprint by comparison, I look at some older plants, Kieran, 5 hectares for about 2,600 megawatts. You compare that with what we saw reported on Monday, 100,000 hectares for 6 gigawatts of wind, solar and battery that may or may not produce anything at all, depending on the weather. I know what I'm backing.
What's your read on the politics of this? I know that you and I have spoken about this technology for a long time. You've been an advocate for lifting the ban. To be fair, Bob Hawke was as well. The late great man was an advocate for Australia to head in this direction as well. So you're not on your own in that sense. But in across the political divide, we've seen positions of similar to yours. But where are the politics at? Because people have been very reticent about the idea of nuclear and the old argument that who's going to want one in their backyard.
Well, I'd love to see a bipartisan position, and I think there's any number of people on the Labor side who would support it. But they're controlled by the radical left, by the socialists, by the communists, by those who really don't want anything. And what we will see as a legacy from this government will be tips, waste plants, holes in the ground are full of eco-waste, whether it's solar panels or turbine blades or batteries or lithium or anything else. And the reality is you could be building something that's got a very small footprint that lasts literally for decades, 60 to 70 years for these plants, and they work all of the time that you need them. I'd like to see more from Labor in terms of support because I think every single Australian knows how hypocritical they've been. If you're going to have nuclear submarines in this country, we will have a nuclear industry, and we may as well utilise that technology in the best interests of all Australians. But I know what will happen at the next campaign, Kieran. There'll be a letterbox drop in every marginal seat to say you're getting a reactor on your street, in your suburb, in your town. It won't be true, but they'll try and use that for political purposes.
Nationals MP member for Hinckley, Keith Pitt, thanks for your time. Appreciate it. And all the best for Christmas.
Great to be with you.